I'm delighted to welcome today Irina Shehovsov. Welcome from New York.
Thank you, Elaine. It's a pleasure to be here.
Marvelous. And above and beyond the call of duty, your children are asleep. It's 5 a.m. in New York and it's 10 a.m. here in Portugal, so which is GMT time. So I've got 5 hours ahead of you. So thank you for joining me and making the effort. Superb. You have an interesting story of helping yourself and your family to recover primarily from betrayal and divorce and all that messy stuff. So where would you like to start with your story? Do you want to start where you are now, or what happened that led you to now? I'll leave it up to you where you're comfortable starting.
We can begin where it started and then get to the present moment.
Okay, let's do that then. So when did it all begin? When did you realize there was a problem?
When I was still pregnant with my son, my second child. So I have two kids. I'm a single parent of a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old, and it started when I was still pregnant, and I found out 3 days before my son was to be born that apparently everything was a mistake. And I kind of separated myself. I have my mental stuff on top, and I had to carry, because my baby on the bottom, I didn't want to lose milk. I wanted to be a good mom. So I was living in a lot of pain, emotional, mental pain, and physical pain, healing from giving birth. And living like that for about a year, waiting for something outside of me.
Was your husband still around at the time, or did he actually go before your son was born?
He was around. He left when the son was 3 months old.
Okay, that must have been very difficult going through that charade.
Yes, yeah, and we did do like psychotherapy, but it never helped. It actually made me feel worse. I was living in more pain than I was coming in. I didn't feel like anything was being solved. And I was waiting for something outside of me to change. In the process of our relationship and marriage, I lost my identity. So I was associating myself. I'm someone else's mom, I'm someone else's wife, but who am I? So I had that identity crisis as I was in that mode, like, what am I gonna do now? Never in a million years did I imagine going to be a single parent. And yet there I was. And where I am now, I call it looking back. When we look at our history and our story, sometimes our pain moments become our true moments from which we can either rise up or we can succumb to them, and then everything goes downhill from there. Well, I chose to pick up the pieces of my broken self and embark on a journey of personal development, attending seminars, reading books, and through the process, getting myself a voice coach and learning how to sing, which allowed me to sing what I couldn't speak, allowed me to find my voice. I also joined Toastmasters, allowed me to speak again. Because in a marriage, in a relationship, I was very compliant. I didn't like any kind of conflict and do anything to avoid conflict. So not often speaking out my truth or what bothered me, kept it quiet. So it was kind of a different shift in energy and how I came about afterwards. And what culminated in September 2019, I was in Phoenix, Arizona, Growth Summit, and there was a YouTuber on stage out of Canada, Evan Carmichael, who said there is not enough belief in this world today, and you should help somebody who is a step behind you. And this is when I decided to help women who I used to be 5 years prior coming to the summit. This is the women I wanted to help. And so in 2020, this is when Reclaim Your Life was born. And it all started with me creating Happiness Academy program, which basically summarized my journey towards rediscovering who I was, towards being happy. And it concentrated on 4 states of being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. I believe when we address those four, can we truly recover, can we truly be happy? And it's all about nutrition, physical health, exercise, meditation, forgiveness is a big component, and also practicing 10 minutes of joy every day. I think as adults, we forget that we are little kids on the inside, and we still should do, and should is a bad word, but
should have, could have, would have. We've all been there, haven't we?
We do. It's a necessary component, like we maintain oral health and we brush our teeth every day. If you want to maintain our happiness levels, we need to do 10 minutes of joy at least every day, whatever brings you joy, whether it's singing, painting, baking, or running, whatever makes you happy, do that. And then, so Happiness Academy was born, Reclaim Your Life was born, and Single Parent Success Stories podcast also was born. It started with a simple inspiration, because I wish there was a resource like that for me when I became a single parent, where I interview past and present single parents as well as experts to help navigate the positive worth journey, share struggles, share advice, and help inspire other single parents who may be struggling.
Maybe you should be interviewing me as well. Maybe we'll do a swap. I've been a single parent twice, and it's not easy.
Yes,
and it's kind of, we find an inner strength somehow, don't we? And it's, the answer is inside of us, as you said. So many people look elsewhere, they look outside of themselves, but the answers are always within us.
Yes, yes, I would love to have you, totally. And then what happened as I continued, I completed my NLP studies with practitioner, master practitioner, and most recently NLP trainer, and I'm able to train others, and NLP changed my life. It removed all of the negative emotions and limiting decisions, and allowed me to reimagine what life could be, how different it is, by accessing on language, how I speak to myself, how I speak to others, and just seeing through the filters, as we have many filters inside of us and different values. So it was that an incredible journey. Then I got certified also whole body wellness with Mind Valley, which concentrates more on health and wellness. And I was doing that previously, but now I have scientific backing behind all those components. And currently going through a 10x fitness certification also with Mind Valley, which allows one to have longevity and strength. So it's been a lot of learning, it's been a lot of growth, and I was able to meet so many incredible people throughout my journey that helped me be where I am today. I'm an introvert, and I became a recovering introvert now as an extrovert. Being here live, talking to you and having that experience. And so that's my story.
Well done, excellent. And it's a story that I hear often, of some kind of adversity happens to an individual, men as well, but predominantly women. Some kind of awful thing happens, and then from that you kind of flounder around and don't know what's what, and then suddenly it's like a light bulb moment and you find an inner strength, and off you go. So all the things you mentioned, mind, body, spirit, fitness, and all that kind of stuff, it's so right. People think that, oh, I'll just take this tablet and I'll be fine, or that medication, whatever it is, that supplement. But unless you address all of the areas, you kind of keep falling over again, don't you? It's a big jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
So with your happiness, singing 10 minutes of joy, gratitude comes to mind. And also I hear the YouTube musings of Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you've come across him.
Yes, I did.
He talks about isness, and things just are, it just is. And so often we fight against things in life, and when we stop fighting and just accept things as they are, and then you mentioned about choosing, you could have been a victim or you could have risen up, and you chose to rise up. What do you think it is inside women that makes them, I'm saying women because predominantly that's 99% it is. What is it, do you think, that kind of makes us, have this inner spirit?
I think we all have inner spirit, but it's a matter of us choosing to slow down and listen to it. And I think it may be difficult depending on how you were brought up. And oftentimes we have figures of authority in our life, whether it's a parents or a caregivers. And if we don't question authority, if we are compliant, which in my case I was, it's oftentimes you would rely on others' advice, you would rely on others' orders, and you would do as such, and you would diminish your own inner voice, and you wouldn't trust it. Because oftentimes what we hear often is our ego screaming when something doesn't go away, when we get hurt. It's our ego that's screaming loud and clear, and our inner voice is always quiet in the background, always waiting to be heard. And it is a matter of us slowing down, and meditation is a very good way to do that. I don't remember who said it, but prayer is when we ask something of God or spirit or whatever you believe in, and meditation is a voice for us to hear God or to hear the inner spirit speak to us. So it's a matter of slowing down and being in the present. And I love how Eckhart Tolle has this power of now, because we don't really have the future or the past, we just have the now moment. Yes. But oftentimes we spend a lot of time obsessing over what the future might bring, or thinking what I should have, could have done in the past, missing out the present moment, which is all we really have. And if we really slow down, the inner moment, the present moment could be so beautiful, so peaceful. We are not at war with anything. We are here in the now, in peace, and breathing, slowing ourselves down, I think helps to get there. And also savoring when we see a beautiful sunrise or a smile on child's face, or we do something amazing. Not just let it pass you by, but actually slow down and take it in. Feel it with all your senses, with your heart, with your ears, with all of the emotions.
Absolutely. It's about gratitude, isn't it? Being grateful and thankful for where we are. And even if it's raining, be thankful because the plants need the rain. We need the rain in the reservoirs for our water. Some people would go, oh God, it's raining again. Me, no, it's like, oh, bring it on, I've found the older I get, the less I do, the more I achieve. And that's because I'm slowing down. And I wish somebody had told me about that years ago. On the other hand, I probably would not have listened because I wasn't ready. So I think things come to us when we're ready.
Totally, yes.
So as an introvert, that was a very brave step for you to go to Toastmasters. How long ago, and what inspired you to join Toastmasters?
Well, this was at my job, and during lunch hour, they organized this event, Toastmasters, and I think it was every week, every Wednesday or every other Wednesday. And what inspired me, it was something different, and I always love learning. Maybe not always, maybe recently, after the breakup, I started loving learning. And just another area was fascinated me, and I wanted to speak. I wanted to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And when you're learning amongst peers, among people who have the same common goal, I think it's easier to learn in a community versus when you're by yourself. You would see changes. You would see that you're not the only one struggling, but you see everybody kind of growing little by little. And what inspired me is ability to share. I didn't share anything about, what was going on, but ability to open up your voice and find your voice. Because I think I was looking, who am I, to answer the who am I question, and pursuing all kinds of different paths, whether it's speaking, whether it's eating right, whether it's exercising. So learning all those different aspects and different areas to build myself up. What is that identity? What are all those components? So finding those pieces and stringing them along. I think that's what inspired me to join.
Excellent, excellent. And we're all different, aren't we? We all learn differently. We all have different senses, different opinions, different ways that we absorb information and learning and so on. But my view is if you're not learning something every day, every day is a school day, if you're not having an open mind and prepared to learn stuff or acknowledge that you've learned stuff, and it's from other people. You mentioned before about people that have helped you along the way, and so many people are frightened to ask for help, or if they need help, maybe somebody offers it, they're too embarrassed, their ego gets in the way, they're too embarrassed to accept help. And again, it's something that we all struggle with from time to time during our life. What advice would you give to people in a situation maybe where they're currently in a relationship that isn't serving them, and they are maybe overly compliant, perhaps they've not even realized what's happening to them? Where do you start?
I would say listen to your inner voice. And because people come together, they all have different values, and they come from different backgrounds, and we not necessarily need to agree with everybody. But if you find that you are, and you have warning bells always in your head, if you choose to dismiss those warning bells, if you look at yourself a year later, you're not going to recognize who you are. And maybe it's something so little and inconsequential today, but you didn't listen to that warning bell. A year later, you're going to ask yourself, how did I allow this to happen? How did I allow this injustice to occur, or something that's totally against your values? Because we all have our own set of values, but if something violates your values, you should speak up. You don't keep it quiet. And if you're in a bad relationship, first try therapy. But if that doesn't work, then seek your way out. There is a great, on Mind Valley, they have this author, I forgot her name, but they have unconscious uncoupling, they call it. It's not a divorce, but it's conscious uncoupling. So you don't have to fight with your spouse, but you have a celebration of life that you work together. And now it's come time for us to part, and it's all done on peaceful terms. So my advice would be first to listen to your inner voice and try therapy.
What kind of therapy? There's so many
different
doesn't
kinds.
Work. So many different kinds of therapy. I mean, we're almost kind of, it's like going around a revolving door now. There's so many different types of therapy. I mean, where on earth do you start? I suppose follow your inner voice, and you'll be led there, I guess, won't you?
You can come to me. I can help you. Because I've been on that journey of recovery, and I address those 4 states of being, because I think it's important for longevity, for happiness, because I know it may be difficult to believe, but we don't come here to suffer. Yet we choose to do that. Every single day we make a decision how we want to see the day, whether we want to be happy, sad, miserable, because it takes exactly the same amount of energy to be each one of those. So we get to choose what it is. And yes, like depending on how we were growing up, we have the story tale, the fairy tale. Oh, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have a career, I'm going to have a family, and everything is going to be happily ever after. And this is what we are setting ourselves up for. And yeah, it's great, but when reality hits and it doesn't match your expectation in your head, you start having a conflict, you start having negative thoughts, negative frames, and it becomes difficult to live in constant conflict with what you have going on in your head and what's going on in your present reality that does not match.
Absolutely. You touched on values. Values is such an important thing that we don't discuss, we're not taught about it at school, and values is so important. And when you're behaving in a way that's going against the things that you value, then your intuition is screaming at you not to do things. So whether it's, basically it's right from wrong, values are the things, in my view, that kind of tell you that you feel in your body something's right or something's wrong if it's going against your values. And the value piece, I think, should be introduced into schools. Although, mind you, if I had school-age children these days, I'd be home educating, because there's so many challenges there. So your children, did you say 5 and 7 years old currently?
12 and 7.
12 and 7. Okay, yes. So and are you still single?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm happily single still after, I think it's 18 years. I've been married 3 times and twice a single mum, and happily unconsciously uncoupled. I'm still friendly with all of my exes. We have good relationships now, although obviously at the time things are difficult, but there is hope, isn't there? So it doesn't matter how awful something is. I'm a great believer in the silver lining. From adversity comes good things, and from adversity comes advancement. So what would be your final tip, top tip for anybody in the situation? So believe in yourself, and get therapy. Is there anything else that you would encourage people to do, women to do?
Practice radical forgiveness and self-love. Forgiveness is so important. And when you do it daily, it doesn't have to be something huge. It could be something very little. Anytime you have a grudge about something or someone, it's good to have that kind of release of that. Because anytime you do forgiveness, you're doing it for yourself. It's not letting the other person off the hook. It's just you getting rid of all this baggage and having this clear peace of mind. And another, meditation. Meditation is like a shower of your mind. When you wake up in the morning, you take a shower because you want to have clean body. Well, if you want to have a clean mind, then meditate. And some people, maybe they're beginners and that, start wherever you are. 5 minutes, just sitting quietly and listening to your inner voice, or guided meditation. There are a gazillion of them available. I think is very important. And the third tip is practicing 10 minutes of joy. Doing
what you love, honoring yourself.
Doing what you love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. That's really helpful. So how do people get hold of you, Irina?
My website is irinashehovsov.com, and I am on all the channels. On Facebook, it's my name, Irina Shehovsov. On Instagram, it's Reclaim Your Life. Claim Your Life. And I have a YouTube channel also, Happiness Academy, where I share advice and tips and podcast. It's all about longevity, how to have an awesome life. Yeah, join me there. Fabulous. I also have a Facebook group called Limitless Women, Self-Love, Mindset, and Support for Relationships.
Wow, gosh, many areas that people can contact you, many ways. Thank you so much for getting up at silly o'clock in the morning and for inspiring many people who will be listening to this podcast. Thank you so much, Irina.
Thank you.